Yeah, I'm Denny Solomona. I play for Sale Sharks, and I am a mental health ambassador.
Hi, I'm Andy Graham. I'm a mental health first aid instructor.
Hey, I'm Amy Jebreel. I'm a psychiatrist working in the NHS in North London.
Hi, I'm Josh Charnley. I play for Warrington Wolves, and I am just me.
We have a very, very small, minimal understanding in and around mental health, and of course we know that there's a direct relationship between sleep, but that's really where our skill set ends. And I suppose the idea of today was that we got an opportunity to talk about conversationally in and around mental health.
It's like going to a new school or starting in a new classroom. That anxiety level is pretty heightened, especially when you've got a lot of testosterone around the club. You're going into full bunch of adults, bunch of blokes as well, and you're there to take someone's place. You're there to try and make your way into the team, try and start. So yeah, it's definitely up there with one of the most stressful moments I've had in my career as well. There's all different types of anxiety, isn't there? Like there's starting a new club after a game if you've performed badly. When you go on a Monday, you feel like you've been judged by your performance in the weekend. If you played poorly, in your mind you make up a scenario. You might not have played poorly at all, but in your mind you've made up that you've played poorly. You've gone in. The way you project your energy, project your mindset is the way you're going to feel initially. But when you break down them cycles, when you break down them barriers, you actually learn that you necessarily do anything wrong. You just feel that way. It's not necessarily wrong because the way you feel is totally right. Yeah, and it's right. I'm many Dennys. I am Denny, now the father, Denny the partner, and Denny the rugby player. I've learned now to kind of isolate that situation, that person into that lifestyle. So let's say I get in at 8 o'clock in the morning and get off at 3. From 8 to 3, I'm that rugby player. From 3 about 7 when I put my little one down, I'm a father. From 7 to 10 when I go to bed, I'm a partner. So I kind of try and break my days down, make it a bit easier for my mental state, my mental ability to cope with them situations. Because I guess when I get bombarded and I feel a bit clustered with all these stuff, I get claustrophobic mentally.
Went for a run, couldn't lift a weight, I couldn't do anything. I had to have my shoulder sorted. First day back in, you think, right, I've got 14 weeks to get my body back. But you're away from the lads, you're on your own, you're first in. You're last out, you're on your own most of the day doing your rehab, your ice, whatever it is to get yourself back. And you come home and you're tired and you say you got the kids. It's just like a mental circle that's just going round and round. You think, I need to get out of this. I don't think it's obvious. It's lack of communication with your fellow teammates. Do you know what I mean? I've been professional since I was 16. So I've been in and around lads donkey's years now. And then when you get pulled away from the pack, you feel like you're getting left behind. I don't think I've suffered from mental health, but I've had days where I thought this is getting to me. Like the past few weeks, I don't know if it's because of my body. I've pushed my body through in 7 weeks to get back, but I started the season off and I've been up and down. I've been thinking about quitting. I feel like some days I'm all right, then I'll crash, and then I'll be driving to training thinking, I don't want to do it. And then I'll get to training, then I'll see the lads and I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm a really bad overthinker. I overthink things so much, and sometimes it plays with your mind, doesn't it?
Like Josh said, I think he's going through a rough patch at the minute. And I think everyone goes through them sort of patches. I think I'm definitely going through one. Like now I'm still in and out of the team. I haven't been in for like 7 weeks now, and it is frustrating. So you've got your everyday stresses, and everyday stresses as a rugby player is mainly selection, staying fit, keeping fit.
When you come off the pitch, whether things have gone right or things have gone wrong, you are in a heightened emotional state with the adrenaline coursing through your veins. So if things haven't gone right, that is not the ideal time to actually try and analyse what happened during the game. We tend to focus on the bad things. We can do 100 things in a day, do 99 of them absolutely brilliantly, do one badly, and that's the one thing that we end up focusing on. If something happens, which then prevents you from doing the things that you love doing and being with the people you love being with, that has a massive effect as well. The fact is that when Mother Nature created human beings, she created a herd animal. And that's when we do our best work, is when we're together, when we're bouncing off each other. You know, it's an important part of our lives, is that socialisation and the ability to share and have fun together.
just obviously just being there. If he needs a pint, I'll get a pint with him. If he needs a coffee, I'll get a coffee with him. My biggest advice, or my biggest thing that I love doing, is probably just being there for him to talk, get it off his chest. Because when he says it out loud and when he gets it off his chest, you know, it's a big weight lifted off him. And then he might even just feel better. Maybe he just wants another bloke, maybe make him feel safe. His feelings and his reality is real.
That's totally what it's about. So being alongside someone and listening and sitting there, and whatever that person is saying, just being able to hold it and be alongside them, and not trying to fix, you know, not trying to give solutions, not judge. I mean, it's hard not to judge. As human beings, we tend to kind of build pictures based on past experiences and so on. But being as open as you can, you know, the more experience I have as a psychiatrist, the less I do, which kind of sounds the wrong way around, you know. And this is why I love open dialogue as an approach. It's very much around being alongside people, and things just evolve, and letting people come up with their own solutions, holding the space for people to be supported to come up with their own solutions. Because if I come along and say, you know, I think this and that is the right thing for you to do, actually I've taken something away from you. I've taken a bit of power and dignity away from you. How important is it when you do speak to someone that they have had their own experience of mental health problems? It's a question that's always interested me, because I, as you know, many clinicians have had mental health difficulties, and it's this really fine line between knowing whether to be open or not, and what does that bring to the conversation if you are open about your own difficulties.
I always say during the courses, acknowledge that you are a judgmental creature, because that's what we are. When you sit down and you start listening to somebody opening up, you will make judgments. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's a skill to learn to take that judgment, put it to one side, so you can focus on providing the best support you possibly can. And then once you've got through the situation, you can then pick that judgment up, take a look at it, ask yourself, is it a correct judgment? If not, why did I come up with that judgment? And is there something I can do to address that and change it? I love the fact that there are so many mental health campaigns out there, and they're all doing the same thing. They're all saying it's great to talk, it's good to talk. What they're not saying is it's good to listen. I've seen so many times, so many people struggle with their mental health and end up in hospital, or sadly end up losing their life as a result. And people then saying, but I don't understand why they didn't come and speak to me. For someone to come and speak to you, they need to know that you are happy to listen.
What do you think stops people?
There's a couple of things. The big thing for me is lack of confidence. And that lack of confidence comes from my experience, mostly two areas. One is lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. And the other one is fear of embarrassment. And I've been there myself in the past, thinking, oh my God, I can see this person that I care about is clearly upset about something. But I'm afraid to have a conversation with them, because if they get really upset, I'm going to get really upset. And I don't want anyone seeing me getting upset.
And I talked about committing suicide, just by very virtue of the language. To commit, as Amy explained to me, and you know, rightly so, my ignorance, that of course commit would be committing a crime, and there's no crime here. And I think language, in rugby union and especially rugby league, I would imagine the nuance of language is one of the biggest barriers to being able to be comfortable to reach out.
I've been down, I've been up, and you just think, right, you just need to ride the wave and then it will get better. But surround yourself with good people, and I know that I'm coming home to a lovely missus, 2 little lads, I've got a nice house and things like that. Just makes you appreciate things more.
Or my philosophy towards mental health is that it should be held in the community. You know, we should be going to, I don't know, I'm not a religious person, but it might be a church that you go to if you need help and solace and community and congregation. You know, we've created this medical thing. And yeah, there is a role for psychiatry and there is a role for mental health services, but a teeny role. It's turned into quite a big, from my perspective anyway, part of how we think about mental well-being. It turns into kind of mental health, mental illness very, very quickly. And professionals are the ones that you need to go to be fixed. You know, especially at the moment, you know, things are really difficult because of COVID, but I think over the past few years there's been a real kind of shift in language, and normal human distress is starting to be medicalised. Life is distressing. Life is shit. Oh, sorry, you're going to have to edit that. Life is really difficult. And we will all have really difficult times, but all too often I see things that we should just be talking about as part of human experience being turned into a disease or a disorder.
We need to remember that mental illness doesn't just suddenly appear out of the blue. It starts somewhere, and it starts low level. You know, generally speaking, the early warning signs are tiny. It's little things, not getting any support for that, and not any outlet, no one to speak to, no one to be able to help with that, it just grows and grows and grows until it gets to the point where people like Amy are absolutely essential then.
I haven't really thought about competitive sport or rugby much, but you're in this group of people where the competition is there between you. For me, it's been one team against another. I forget the fact that this group of people who are your herd, you're also competing against. And that makes it really complicated, actually, in terms of getting the support. I don't know how it feels to show vulnerability in a team where that competition's also there.
The gender differences of communication. It started from when you're a kid. Your dad, when you're crying, why must you tell your son to harden up? When your daughter cries, you know, you give her a good cuddle and you tell her, explain your feelings. That's the difference. That's where we can kind of impact the gender roles in communication, where we can open up our young kids, our young males to open up, because then it filters.
I celebrate that I've been to see a therapist. It's been the most liberating thing I've ever done. You finally start to learn what's going on in here for the very first time. Like, oh, that's why I do those stupid things. Or that's why I always start a fight with my wife on a certain time. It's not because I want to start a fight. It's normally when everything's going really well. It's all going smooth and she's dead happy with me. Just get that grenade, just chuck it in, just see what happens, because I'm much more comfortable in that space of being told I'm a naughty lad.
Therapy is just literally the start. It's like the hard work. You're going to cry for days. You're going to feel in tune with your feelings. I was going through a divorce a while back, a couple of years ago, and it was tough. Bloody hell, it was tough. I cried for a week and a half. Every emotion that I was feeling from present to past to even future, I was just crying. I just didn't know how to deal with it. And because as males, we tend to suppress it, it came up like a flipping water fountain. That's the power of vulnerability. That's the power of it, because you open yourself up to receive. And that's what you need to do in these times, because, man, lockdown is a bastard. Lockdown is a bastard. It's affecting everyone. If you don't say you're affected, you're lying. And I think that's what vulnerability allows. It's powerful. It's powerful stuff.
But the word that's coming up in my mind is shame and liberation from shame. You know, shame keeps things hidden. You know, we don't want people to see our vulnerabilities because of that shame. And so for me, I don't know whether some of that liberation you're talking about is letting go of the shame. Because once you open up and people are okay with what they see, that cringy, horrible feeling just goes.
3 of my mates committed suicide a few months ago. I wrote in the rugby WhatsApp group just saying, lads, I know it's a time because everyone's in lockdown, but I just wanted to be there for the lads. And I got like a few of the younger boys messaging me privately. I was injured at the time, just had a chat with them. One of the lads rang me on the way home saying, hey, I feel like a burden's been lifted off my back. And I was driving home, I was thinking, I've made a difference there.